Here are my solutions to your practice quiz. Question 1. I know that this is a quote-unquote tree problem because it says that we're looking for each home to be accessible to the lake by boat. It doesn't say that it has to be direct. So I just have to be able to get to each individual place. I just don't want anything cut off. And because I'm looking for the minimum total length, what I want to do is eliminate the biggest numbers possible. You can see that I made some errors here. I had to go back and erase. But the first things that I would do is to get rid of the biggest possible numbers, like this 1500, this 1200. There were two 900s. I got rid of both of them, but each time I get rid of another edge, I have to make sure that I'm not cutting something off. So I got rid of this 1500, and I could still get rid of the 900 as long as there's another way to get to G. I haven't completely cut it off. And the same thing with this 1200 and that 900. I haven't cut anything off yet. So I keep eliminating bigger numbers, like this 800 is the next biggest, and I can get rid of it because I haven't cut anything off. And then I was going to get rid of the 600. I would have thought about getting rid of the 650, but because I already got rid of the 1500 and the 900, if I get rid of the 650, the G is completely cut off, and I can't do that. After I've removed a few edges, I usually redraw what's left. Here I just put the number instead of the hundreds, like instead of 600, I put 6. Instead of 650, I put 6.5. But here, after I've drawn them without the ones that I've removed, it's clearer that this is now a tree. This is the minimum possible. I can't remove anything else. And I did it by removing the largest possible numbers. Like over here, for instance, I removed the 200. But I can't also remove this 175 because then D would be cut off. And I can't also eliminate the 150 because C would be cut off. So this, what I've got left here, is a tree. It reaches every possible letter, and that's my total length. Question 2. This question is not a tree. It's an actual path. And it's a path that said has to start in Paris. And it says that John can travel by train or by plane. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It can be a combination. So starting at Paris, I sort of looked at both graphs and started picking some of the smallest numbers. So I could go through Brussels, Antwerp, Luxembourg, Frankfurt, all by train because those were all the smallest amounts. They were the cheapest ones. And this one here from Frankfurt to Zurich, I chose to take the plane because that one was cheaper. When I added up all of those numbers, it gave me a total of 315. And the question was, what could be the max value of this flight if I was going to have a total budget of 400 respected? And if I've already spent 315, obviously this would be too much. So the only amount that I would have left is 85, and that's the max amount that that flight could be. And finally, question 3. Patrick planning a trip. He's visiting a bunch of cities. What I did was I drew this out as a graph. So I know that A and D are connected. I know that A and E are connected, A and F, etc., etc. I turned that table into a graph. And then I started looking at the criteria. It said that I have to visit all of the cities. I have to start and end in city E. And I have to visit B before A. And that makes things a bit complicated. But if I'm going to start at E and I have to get through B before A, I'm going to try to get to B in one of my first few stops. What I ended up doing was going to C. I tried a bunch of routes. This is the best one after I tried many of them. I went to C and then thought about either going directly to B or, this is 90, by the way, or I compared that to doing this, 45 and then 40 and then back again. So if I were to go through C, I would go E to C to B. That's an extra 90 from C, and then 40 to get to D. It's a total of 130. But if instead I went to D to B and back to D, that ends up being 45 and 80. It ends up being 125. It saves 5 kilometers, a little bit shorter. So I went to D, B to D, then A, and F, then back to E. That's how I got 290. If you found a better way, then that could just be that I didn't find the best one. And provided you have gone through every single letter and you started and ended at E, then that's good if you found a better one. The big thing though was that because it didn't specify that it had to be an Euler circuit or anything without repeated edges, I am allowed to repeat edges. If a problem doesn't say otherwise, you can. And that's it for the solutions.